Okay, before I'm going to finalize this video tutorial, this instruction video about the black and white Artisan Pro panel with the toning section, I just want to show you one more time the microzone adjustments and what you can do with it. Because you cannot only enhance some specific details, or rather specific sections of a photograph that contain a lot of detail, but you can also effectively get rid of unwanted clipping shadows, for example. So if I would look at this image here, and I would, let me see if I would go zoom in here, you see that this part here is a little bit darker. So if I would try to lighten this up without making it too light, but just get rid of the darker shadows, then it's almost impossible to do that in a normal way. You can only do that in a very specific way by using luminosity mask or by using this panel, and it's much easier to do it with this panel. So let me show you how. So for example, I'm going to take a few samples over here and look at all the darker tones over here, but also in here. So I'm going to take a few samples. You see it's somewhere around 5, 3, 10. Well, it's definitely within the range of this, the dark shadows. So I'm going to activate that. Okay, it's activated. There are my temporary luminosity mask files that I need to get rid of by clicking on deactivate once I'm done. So now I'm going to again roughly select this area over here, very roughly. It's by far not accurate, but this is enough. And then I click on tonal lighten. Okay, so this is before. Now I'm going to zoom in. And you can see how non-destructive it is. So I'm keeping intact all the beautiful mid-gray, the darker mid-gray tones. I'm just getting rid of only the darker shadows. So this is before. Let's take a look at this part over here. This is after. You see it has been lightened up quite a bit. But you see it's only the darker shadows. Again, this is before. And this is after. Before. After. Look also at the darker, let's say, parts in this part of the pyramid. Before. After. And now I'm going to zoom out. Before. Look at this part over here and this part. After. You see it. It's a very subtle kind of lightening, and as you could see, it's also non-destructive because I'm just removing the darker shadows. So this is what you can do with the microzone adjustment, and you can do so much more, of course. And if you just practice a little bit, it's really easy because you only have to take a few samples, take the average value of that, then activate the corresponding tonal zone, and then just roughly select it, and you're done. And if you combine that with the advanced linear adjustments, it becomes really powerful. So for example, for the skies, as you've already seen, I would use linear adjustment because there are no specific details in there that I don't want to keep intact. So it doesn't matter, so you can just use the linear adjustment tool for that, in that case. So let's talk about the toning to finish up this video session. So basically, toning is something that you always have to do at the very end of your black and white workflow. So suppose that I'm really done with this image. So I'm going to flatten the image there. I'm going to get rid. So I should have deactivated the zone. So now all the luminosity masks are gone as well. But suppose that I consider this image to be done, and now I can add, if I want to, some toning, and I really like to apply some very subtle toning, especially the split toning, because it, to me as a black and white photographer, I think some very subtle colors and some very well chosen colors can really add to the emotional value of a specific scene, and it also has a sort of symbolic value for me. Well, if you look here, the toning has been separated in Basic toning. In basic toning, those are the single toning, so they are not split tones. There's a split tone cinematic based on interesting movies with interesting color schemes, and also the split tone that are based on specific songs that inspired me. It's really simple. What you have to do is just click the tone that you really like. So let's go with a split tone cinematic. And all you have to do then is just choose one of those. And let's say I'm going to go with the split alien split tone. And you have to know that those split tones that I've created are much more subtle than the average split tone that you would see in other similar kind of software. Because the thing is, I've created the split tones in a very specific way. I've developed the method myself, and it's a method that's based on the distribution of tonal areas in the image in 3 areas by using luminosity masks, by using very specific luminosity masks. So sometimes those are the lighter luminosity masks, sometimes those are the darker luminosity masks. I've varied a little bit in the use of luminosity masks. So sometimes I would use, let's say, luminosity mask 2, sometimes 3, lights 2 or lights 3, to increase or decrease the intensity in a specific tonal area. And so I'm not going to talk about the technical details of that, but I think it's sufficient to know that the way that I've created the split tones are quite not quite advanced. So what you have to do now is to move the intensity slider. Since my split tones are really subtle, I always go with 100% setting. Of course, if you think it's a little bit too colorful to your taste, then you can go with any kind of value that you prefer. But I always go with 100%. Just click apply. Don't forget to do that. And if you don't like it, just click cancel. And by the way, the split toning and the basic adjustments sections are the only sections that have these intensity sliders. So for the advanced adjustments, microzone adjustments, and the black and white conversions, you don't have this type of intensity sliders. So there it is, the split tone alien. And you can see this before, this after, and I think it's quite subtle. And of course you have to do this on a TIFF file. If you try to do this on a low resolution JPEG file, the effect is not going to be that subtle, and it's because of the decompressed decompressed JPEG image. So this is it's really simple. You can get rid of it if you don't like it, so I think you just need to try it out yourself, all the split tones. My favorite one is, by the way, this one. Split tone, the musical split tones, and it was this one. Perhaps you recognize the song, and if not, it's not that important. Now I'm going to slide all the way up to the right, apply, and there it is. That's it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for purchasing the Black and White Artisan Pro panel.